Coming up on Phillies Nation, presented by BQ Basement Systems. We'll go through the best and worst case scenarios for 2015.
Rachel McCauley joins us to make some season predictions and awards picks.
And Mitch Williams will give his thoughts on this year's Phillies. That's all ahead on Phillies Nation, presented by BQ Basement Systems. What's going on, folks? This is Phillies Nation, and we're presented by BQ Basement Systems, and we're at the lovely Fieldhouse Sports and Beer Hall in Center City, Philadelphia. Well, the season is underway for the Philadelphia Phillies. You ready to rock?
Opening week, baby. No time like it.
Opening week here for the MLB season. So last week we kind of previewed the Phillies for the 2015 year. Let's dig a little bit deeper, though, and let's talk about some of the ways that the Phillies can actually have a successful year. And it starts with a few individual players, and we'll focus on the offense first. And at the top of the order, it's Ben Revere and it's Odubel Herrera. Let's talk about them specifically.
Okay, well, we know that the Phillies are no longer a team built on starting pitching. We know they're no longer a team built on power. And to be quite honest, the defense is not an elite defensive team either. So even if you think the Phillies are going to win 60 to 65 games, how are they going to win those games? That's a legitimate question. I think they're going to win those games with those two at the top of the order, Revere and Herrera, wreaking havoc on the base paths. We got a little glimpse of it in the final exhibition game, the on-deck game on last Saturday against the Pirates. Ben Revere leads the game off with an infield single, immediately steals second. Odubel Herrera works a walk, immediately steals second. Both score on a Chase Utley two-run single. If the Phillies are going to be at all exciting in 2015, it's going to be those two setting the table. I'm not quite saying they're going to be a Juan Pierre, Luis Castillo 1-2, but the fact that they both have speed, the fact that Odubel Herrera has some gap power, I think they could be pretty successful up top.
We're going to go back to some old school baseball. Hopefully these guys give you the 40, 50, 60 steals like you mentioned, Pierre and Castillo, in their heyday with the Florida Marlins. Looking specifically at Ben Revere, though, he's moving from center field to left field, and that's a bit of a problem, at least offensively. We know he doesn't have the greatest arm, so defensively it also could be an issue. But offensively, look at his numbers here. 305 average in 2013, same in 2014. But the problem is that when you shift from center field to left field, that's a power position. And his 686 OPS last season would have ranked just 28th among left fielders with 300 plate appearances. That's just not, it's not enough offensively. So I get it, they can make up with it with their legs, but still at that position, it's so premium for power.
I completely agree with you, and I think that kind of speaks to the perceived disconnect there is between, what the front office is trying to accomplish with the rebuild and what Ryan Sandberg, a veteran guy who wants to give 100% every day, trying to win every day, what he wants. I mean, when you put Ben Revere in left field, you are diminishing his trade value too. And we saw a report last week from Ken Rosenthal that Ben Revere remains on the trade block. Well, if the Phillies don't consider him a center fielder, why would any other team consider him a center fielder? And if he's not playing center field, he has a lot less value.
All right, how about Chase Utley, who obviously one of the veteran pieces of this team, but before the season began, during the offseason, he just said, look, I want to stick around in Philadelphia. So while he's here, they're going to have to hope that he has a start to this season like he had at the start of last season, because as we know, it sort of trended downhill. So the first half of last year, you got to keep your fingers crossed that he can do that again.
Yeah, with Chase Utley, the Phillies just need him to get off to a hot start power-wise. I mean, what we saw at the end of spring training was phenomenal from Chase Utley.
Absolutely.
He went 7 for his final 16, hit 4 homers, drove in 9 runs. And if Chase Utley gets off to that kind of start and a team comes calling, maybe he shows a willingness to accept the trade. He's been one guy on this team that hasn't been willing to waive his 10 and 5 rights, his no trade clause. So the Phillies need him to produce offensively just so they can win games, but also so that maybe they could move him to collect more assets.
And if you look at last year's first half of the season for Chase Utley, it was exceptional. 293 through the first roughly 400 plate appearances. He showed some power, some gap power with the 24 doubles. So that's the Chase Utley that they're going to need.
After May 31st, Chase Utley slugged .350. That's a Ben Revere, Juan Pierre-like slugging percentage. And I really think the reason for that is he was just run into the ground. He played 155 games. He needs to play fewer games, maybe give him like 138. That would be 1 off day per week. And play him at first base some. Save his legs a little bit. Second base is a pretty demanding position.
We'll see if the Phillies end up doing that to give Ryan Howard a bit of a breather. And the final guy we'll look at is in the infield, and that's Cody Ashley. He's a guy that's got to have a different kind of year, where last year defensively he struggled a bit, and that seemed to roll over into his offensive game as well.
Yeah, Cody Ashley, the Phillies just need more for him in year 2. The numbers that I'm looking at that I would like to see out of Cody Ashley, I want to see 270 or higher. I want to see at least 17 home runs, at least 30 doubles, and then defensively, single digits in errors. Cody Ashley committed 16 errors last year at third base in his rookie year. Committed 4 more during the spring. Routine plays are not always routine for Cody Ashley. He has the range, he has the arm, he has the defensive tools, he just doesn't always make every play. And if you're not going to be a premium offensive third baseman, if you're not going to be an Adrian Beltre or a Kyle Seager, you at least need to give your team adequate to above average defense. I think that's what the Phillies are hoping for from Ashley.
All right, let's go through the scenarios of the 2015 season for the Phillies. We'll do our best case and our worst case. So let's start with the best case, and here are some of them. And it starts, of course, with Cole Hamels staying healthy so that they can get something in return when the July 31st trade deadline comes around.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, Cole Hamels has had a massive workload the last 7 or 8 years, so the Phillies need him to stay healthy. If he goes down with an elbow injury or a shoulder injury, and it turns out they missed the chance to move him, that would be just so disastrous. It would be akin to last year when Cliff Lee got hurt, or this spring when Cliff Lee got hurt. The Phillies can't afford another pitcher injury.
All right, another best case, we just talked about Chase Utley. He needs to stay healthy and produce, and then at least give you the possibility of moving on from him. Also, Ryan Howard. By the end of May, we'll kind of know what kind of player Ryan Howard is this year.
Yeah, Ryan Howard did not have a very good spring. He hit 176, he did homer 3 times. He showed up in the best shape of his life. But the Phillies need a hot start from Ryan Howard last year. First 19 games, hit 5 home runs, drove in 12 runs, had an on-base percentage over 360. I know that's an extremely small sample size, but if Howard gets off to that kind of 20-game start, then maybe the Orioles or the Blue Jays or the Rays, maybe they come calling.
And how about one guy we haven't spoken much about, and that's Carlos Ruiz. He sort of flies under the radar with this team, but there's a possibility you package him with another player in a deal, maybe a Hamels or a Papelbon.
Absolutely. I don't think Carlos Ruiz is going to be the centerpiece of any trade this year, but catching is a very thin position league-wide. Teams always need catching help, especially if their catcher goes down. So if Carlos Ruiz can perform offensively the way he did 2-3 years ago, keep that OBP high, the plate discipline the way it is, hit some doubles, another team might want him.
How about Jonathan Papelbon? The Phillies seemingly have been trying to get rid of him now for about 2 seasons. He's another guy that needs to have a decent year so they can get something in return.
Every single season, closers fail on their jobs or get hurt. Last year, there were between 6 and 8 closers who either were removed from their role early in the season or missed significant time with an injury. So when that happens, Jonathan Papelbon will become a very attractive commodity on the trade market. So the Phillies need him to remain throwing 93 miles per hour and have as good of a season as he had last year.
All right, now maybe not all of those things will happen, but they are the best case. How about the worst case scenarios? Cole Hamels getting injured, like you said, would be disastrous, and Cliff Lee as well. If he can't return from that elbow injury, you're going to get nothing for him on the field and then off the field in the trade.
Yeah, Cliff Lee, I don't have high hopes that he will be able to return because the elbow injury has lingered for over a year now. But if he can return in the middle of the summer, July, maybe the middle of July, say, and the Phillies can move him, even if all you're getting is salary relief, even if all you're getting is the ability to not pay that $37.5 million that he is still owed, that would be great. But the worst case scenario, obviously, is he doesn't return.
Sure, and how about these 2 things as well? Odubel Herrera, the possibility exists that he is unable to adapt to Major League pitching because he's never had to do it before. Right. And also Ken Giles, who pitched right before the season began and looked a little shaky, didn't have the same heat on his fastball that he had last season.
Yeah, Ken Giles had an 8 ERA during the spring. He walked a batter per inning. That was not the Ken Giles we saw during his rookie year. Ken Giles needs to have better command. He acknowledged as much, and we're hoping to see that.
Yeah, we will see that. We hope to anyway. When we come back, Rachel McCauley has our trending Phillies topics. All that and more. Don't go anywhere. It's Phillies Nation presented by BQ Basement Systems.
Our customers tell us it's important that they know who they're doing business with. Basement foundation issues are never fun, and finding a contractor that you can trust can be hard. That's why I founded BQ Basement Systems in 1997. We're the experts in identifying and fixing problems in your basement, your crawl space, foundation repairs, and all things basementing. Have one of our certified inspectors out for your free evaluation and estimate. Visit us at bqbasementsystems.com or call us at 1-800-339-2070.
If you're a sports fan, you need to check out Sports Vault. Our stores will surround you with a great selection of autographed memorabilia, licensed apparel, trading cards, and novelties. Want to meet your favorite local and national superstars? Sports Vault brings the legends to you with dozens of in-store appearances. Check out any of our 3 locations in King of Prussia, Exton, or Moorestown. Or visit sportsvaultshop.com and use the code PhilliesNation to save 20% on your next order of autographed merchandise.
In a world where bankers have lost all interest, where robots and fat cats rule our fortunes, one woman will stand up and strive to do the impossible. Be treated like a person. Friends and neighbors will join her quest. Ordinary people will band together against the forces of corporate greed. And together, they will form Philadelphia Federal Credit Union, already in a neighborhood near you.
Travel is not the exciting adventure it used to be. I still love the destination, yet getting there can be a hassle unless you travel like the pros. Major League Vacations offers exciting personal or group travel options to your team's away game or your favorite vacation destinations. MLV does all the legwork. You focus on the experience. For more than 20 years, MLV has been a trusted partner to thousands of people just like you. Visit MLV.com and make travel exciting again, or call 800-222-6256. Tell them Ricky Bo sent you.
Welcome back to Phillies Nation, presented by BQ Basement Systems. First up, we have our trending Phillies topics and questions, presented by Sports Vault. Check them out for autograph signings of your favorite players. Our first question is about Ryan Howard.
Hi, my name's Mary McGettigan. I'm from Philadelphia. I'm wondering, how many home runs will Ryan Howard hit this year?
Well, if I had to put a number on Ryan Howard and his home runs this year, I'd put him in the mid-20s range. I think 23, 24 home runs would be a decent number for him. And of course, every year when guys come into the season, they say, I'm in the best shape of my career. Ryan Howard actually looks like he's in pretty decent shape this year.
He does.
So if the lower half can stay healthy and he can give you 140 to 150 games, I think 23, 24 home runs is a decent number.
Yeah, I could see Ryan Howard hitting 23, 24 home runs, but still being unproductive the way he was last year. And I want to acknowledge this. Ryan Howard last season saw about 325 fastballs more than he saw in 2009, which is the last time you could really consider him a superstar. He used to see fastballs one out of every 3 pitches. Yeah. Now it's half of the pitches he sees, and that's because pitchers just challenge him more because he can't hit the way he used to.
Now take a look at the starting rotation. We have a tweet from our friend Kevin Cooney who says, Cole Hamels is shooting off the hot dog gun and trying to shoot himself to a contender.
Oh, that Kevin Cooney.
Such a character. No, but, you know, it's true. Cole Hamels wants to pitch for a contender. I want to throw up this graphic right here, these ZiPS projections. ZiPS is a projection system that does a very good job predicting what a player is going to do, and they have 12 wins for Cole Hamels despite a 3.34 ERA, and that's obviously because the Phillies don't have a lot of talent surrounding him. You look at the rest of this rotation, you're looking at ERAs of 4.50 or lower, really just number 5 starters. The one guy who's the key for me is David Buchanan. Had a terrific spring. I think he's poised to make a jump in year 2.
This reminds me of the 2000 Phillies rotation when it was Curt Schilling, and then it was a bunch of guys just kind of you throw at the wall and see if they stick. And here are those guys. Randy Wolf, he started 32 games that year. Robert Person started 28. And then you had Andy Ashby, Bruce Chen, and Paul Byrd. They won 65 games that year. This sort of is that, you know, a few veterans thrown in there, a couple of rookies like Buchanan, and just cross your fingers and hope that you can get to a decent win total. That year, it didn't work, and this year reminds me of that. I don't think that's such a good thing, is it?
Yeah, I'm with Corey. I like David Buchanan. He had a great spring, and he's definitely one to watch this season. It could be a bright spot and a kind of a pleasant surprise for the Phillies this season. So we'll see how it goes. All right, next we'll do our predictions and awards for the 2015 season. Corey, who do you got for MVP?
MVPs, I have Giancarlo Stanton. One of these years he's going to win it, and I have Robinson Cano in the AL. I don't think the Mariners are going to go as far as a lot of people are predicting, but he is going to be the centerpiece of a very emerging team.
That's funny. I also have Giancarlo Stanton because I think he's going to win. You just look at the hitting aspect of the National League. Who stands out to you? Yasiel Puig. I mean, there aren't a lot of great names at the top, and like you said, one of these years he's going to get it. I've got Mike Trout winning again. It's an easy pick, I think.
Yeah. I'm going to disagree with both you guys. I'm
really?
going Andrew McCutchen.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Next, player.
All right.
We'll see. Next, Cy Young. Who you got? Pat?
I've got Chris Sale in the American League. Actually, he had a good shot at winning last year if he didn't miss maybe 3 or 4 starts at the beginning of the year. His numbers were outstanding. I think he had a 2.17 ERA last year, so I think he finally wins it this year. And Max Scherzer in the National League.
Yeah, I think one of these years Chris Sale with that herky-jerky motion is bound to get hurt, but I also have Max Scherzer. I think it's interesting that both of us are saying no to Clayton Kershaw, probably because of voter fatigue. He's won 3 out of the last 4 years.
We got to think outside the box a little bit too, right?
Well, also with Scherzer, you're going from the AL where you're facing DHs to the NL. Last year,
Exactly.
AL DHs had a 749 OPS, average of 243 batting average. NL pitchers 124. So you could be looking at a lower ERA and maybe 20 to 25 more strikeouts for Max Scherzer.
Yeah, Scherzer's definitely the sexy pick, especially after all the money that they gave him
It's
this year.
it's probably going to be Kershaw.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well,
It'll be
he
a
always wins.
tight
I'm
race.
with you, though.
But we'll see. All right, Rookie of the Year, Corey, who do you like?
I'm going to go with Rusney Castillo. Kind of a weird choice because he's not going to start
Rookie's
the
not
season
gonna be happy about
in the
that.
majors, but Rusney Castillo is probably going to take over in a corner outfield spot at some point for the Red Sox. They gave him $72 million. He looks like he has every tool to be successful, and defensively, he really stood out in the spring. I see him winning it.
And in the National League, Jock Peterson. Their payroll is $270 million. He might be one of their cheapest players on that team, but he might be the best. This dude has power, speed, the whole 9 yards. I like him for the Dodgers.
NL, I'm going Jorge Soler, the Cubs. I think he's going to have a better season than the much more heralded Chris Bryant.
All right. World Series predictions. Corey, who do you like?
Got the Dodgers over the Red Sox. Everybody's picking the Nationals as the odds-on favorite. We've seen that in recent years. They've been the odds-on favorite, and they failed in the postseason. I just don't think they have enough offense. I think the Dodgers are the most balanced NL team because they added some defense with Jimmy Rollins and Howie Kendrick this year. They have the batting average, they have the power and the pitching to do it.
I agree. I think the Dodgers in the NL. And I'm going to go Freeway Series. Angels in the American League. Mike Trout gets the title because I think they're going to win the World Series.
That would be something.
Yeah.
All right. It'll certainly be interesting to see.
Yes.
Up next, from the Field House in Center City, Philadelphia, Pat and Corey give their fantasy baseball picks when we come back.
Phillies Nation is filmed each week at Fieldhouse Sports and Beer Hall in Center City, Philadelphia. Come by all season long for delicious food, daily craft beer specials, and live music every Saturday. Live sports. Craft beer. Great food. Good times. What more do you need? Every day is a party at Fieldhouse Sports and Beer Hall, the largest sports bar in Center City. Come to 11th and Filbert to see what you've been missing.
We're very excited to implement a program called 8 Weeks to Wellness. At Summit Spine and Wellness, we combine chiropractic care, massage therapy, customized nutrition, personal training, and meditation. If you want to improve your health, take the 8 Week to Wellness Challenge like Dan, who lost 32 pounds, 6 inches off his waist, and 94 points off his cholesterol. We use a customized wellness score to measure your health and develop a diet and fitness plan just for you. Call our office at 215-487-2500 and ask about getting set up for your wellness score.
Our customers tell us it's important that they know who they're doing business with. Basement foundation issues are never fun, and finding a contractor that you can trust can be hard. That's why I founded BQ Basement Systems in 1997. We're the experts in identifying and fixing problems in your basement, your crawl space, foundation repairs, and all things basementing. Have one of our certified inspectors out for your free evaluation and estimate. Visit us at bqbasementsystems.com or call us at 1-800-339-2070.
Philly has a long sports history filled with great players and moments. Shibe Vintage Sports in Center City relives the glory years with fashionable attire for all your favorite teams. Separate yourself from the crowd with the hippest Eagles, Phillies, Flyers, and Sixers gear. Pick up some unique shirts featuring local teams of yesteryear, or come to fun events where you can learn about your favorite teams. So if you're a sports fan, then you need to check out Shibe Vintage Sports. Visit them at 13th and Walnut or shibesports.com.
Welcome back to Phillies Nation, presented by BQ Basement Systems. We're going to go on the farm. Get your make or break players for the year. Pat, who do you like?
On the farm, make or break guys. 2 of them I've got. One I think it's an easy choice. That's Maikel Franco, because he's got to have a year like he had in 2013 and not like he had in 2014, because back in 13, hit 320, an OPS over 900, 31 home runs. And you looked at that guy like he's going to be the savior of this franchise for years to come. And then at AAA in 2014, a 727 OPS, just 16 home runs. He really struggled, especially in the beginning of the year. So there's a make or break guy. And another guy who's been injured for quite a while, that's Adam Morgan. He was a possibility for the rotation had he not gotten hurt in 2013. Looking into the future, had the shoulder injury. The problems began in 2013, lingered on all of last season. He missed. So he's a guy that we thought could be a part of the rotation. He's got to do something in the minor leagues, and he's got to do it now.
Yeah, it's definitely a make or break year for Maikel Franco's confidence, because he needs to get back to hitting so that he can come up to the Phillies and feel good about himself, that he can be a difference maker at the major league level. I have 2 guys who have spent the last couple of years just ravaged by injuries and underperforming. I have Tommy Joseph, the catcher they obtained from San Francisco for Hunter Pence, and Jesse Biddle. Tommy Joseph, last 2 years, has played a total of 63 games, just the concussion issues, the wrist injury. He's going to start the year as Lehigh Valley's #1 catcher. He'll be the starting catcher at AAA. Big year for him, because if the Phillies do end up moving Carlos Ruiz, they can bring him in, Tommy Joseph, if he performs well, if he shows a little power. Jesse Biddle, last 2 years, 8-24 with a 4.17 ERA. Number that sticks out to me is the 5.1 walks per 9 innings. Really needs to cut that down. Yeah. Phillies are high on him coming into this year. He's going to be the #5 starter at a very talented AA rotation. If he performs well, he could be a year and a half away from the majors.
Yeah, I'm definitely watching Michael Franco because you think they kept him in the minors for a reason and didn't bring him up early to kind of get him a little bit more work and get him back to form.
We talked about that too, him being part of the lineup this year when we did our show at the end of last year, and obviously that's not the case.
Yep, so now we're going to go by the numbers. Corey, your first number, 150.
Yeah, 150. This is kind of similar. I'm going to piggyback off what we did last week with Scott Rowland and Phillies third base futility. Since this is for my man Ace Ball Stats on Twitter. 7 years as a Philly, Scott Rowland, 150 home runs. The 13 years since, all Phillies third basemen, 150 home runs.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, so you're not imagining the power, the power sapping at third base. It's really been there.
All right, Pat, your first number is 25.
It is 25. That's the number of quality starts Aaron Harang had last year, second in the National League behind only Johnny Cueto. He had as many quality starts as Cole Hamels did. He had one more than Clayton Kershaw. That's Aaron Harang we're talking about
Ace
here.
Harang, huh?
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, and you got to think if he gets the back issue straightened out, maybe.
Maybe
you know,
again.
he can do that again this year.
He could be a workhorse.
They need warm bodies, that's for sure. Corey, 200.
Yeah, 200. I don't think a lot of people realize this. Cole Hamels has the longest streak in the National League of 200-plus innings. He's done it 5 years in a row. No other NL pitcher, not Adam Wainwright, not a Cliff Lee, not any of these aces, not a Johnny Cueto, Bumgarner, none of them have done it. Cole Hamels, extremely durable, 7 straight years of 30-plus starts. The Phillies are really crossing their fingers and hoping that this isn't the year that workload catches up to him.
Yeah, that would not be good.
No.
All right, Pat, number 7.
The number 7 is the number of teams that Jeff Francoeur has been on. He's now on the Phillies bench this year. He has played with the Braves, Royals, Mets, Giants, Rangers, Padres, now the Phillies. He started off as one of the best young outfielders in all of baseball. Yeah, they called him the natural. Looked like he was going to be a cornerstone of the Braves. And he's been all around. And that's in the last 6 years.
Yeah, he definitely wins the Good Guy Award, too, so
He does.
I'll take that. All right, now we have our fantasy baseball and hitters that you guys like for week 1.
I'm going to start with Curtis Granderson of the Mets. He's a guy who was a little bit injured at the end of spring training, but he'll be good to go. Curtis Granderson absolutely raked in spring training, and he's a very streaky player. He's the kind of guy I'm going to take in week 1 off the waiver wire, maybe play him in DraftKings, just because he's so hot. Ride him while he's hitting well.
I know you don't love Ben Zobrist, but he's my guy for the A's because they have 7 games at home, and 4 of them come against the Texas Rangers this week, and he's hitting third. I know the lineup isn't great, but you can take Ben Zobrist.
Rangers don't have much pitching.
They don't.
Those are the fantasy baseball hitters that the guys like for week 1, presented by DraftKings. When we come back, the guys will talk a little bit more fantasy and have their closing arguments up next.
Behold, we are in the presence of champions. Fantasy sports legends who have earned hundreds of thousands of dollars playing online. Meet Arlie Gonzalez. Average guy, superior sports knowledge. Picked a team in minutes and won enough to throw the party of a lifetime. In outer space. Former accountant Derek Bradley. DraftKings One Day Fantasy Baseball took him from a guy with holes in his underpants to a guy with bikini models in them.
How do we turn our love of fantasy sports into reality cash?
DraftKings.com. They have one-day games, so you're not locked in. It's like a new season every time you play. And best of all, you could win a shipload of money. Start playing today for your share of $1 billion. Use promo code PITCH and get free entry in our 100K baseball contest on opening day. More sports, more winners, more millionaires. Get to DraftKings.com now.
In a world where bankers have lost all interest, where robots and fat cats rule our fortunes, one woman will stand up and strive to do the impossible. Be treated like a person. Friends and neighbors will join her quest. Ordinary people will band together against the forces of corporate greed. And together they will form Philadelphia Federal Credit Union, already in a neighborhood near you.
Our customers tell us it's important that they know who they're doing business with. Basement foundation issues are never fun, and finding a contractor that you can trust can be hard. That's why I founded BQ Basement Systems in 1997. We're the experts in identifying and fixing problems in your basement, your crawl space, foundation repairs, and all things basementing. Have one of our certified inspectors out for your free evaluation and estimate. Visit us at bqbasementsystems.com or call us at 1-800-339-2070.
Philly has a long sports history filled with great players and moments. Shive Vintage Sports in Center City relives the glory years with fashionable attire for all your favorite teams. Separate yourself from the crowd with the hippest Eagles, Phillies, Flyers, and Sixers gear. Pick up some unique shirts featuring local teams of yesteryear, or come to fun events where you can learn about your favorite teams. So if you're a sports fan, then you need to check out Shibe Vintage Sports. Visit them at 13th and Walnut or shibesports.com.
Phillies Nation is presented by BQ Basement Systems, the Philadelphia region's premier basement contractor.
Well, if you're starting the game, you have the anxiety of the night before, knowing you're going to pitch, being a reliever like I was my whole career, hoping that you get in that first game. You want to get the first one under your belt and out of the way, get the season started. When you look at this team on paper, there's not a whole lot to get excited about if you're a Phillies fan, but I'm not a big believer in that paper. I was a part of a team in '93 that on paper probably wouldn't have been picked to beat the manufactured paper softball team. So we look at it, yeah, it looks like it could be rough, but there's 162 games to play. You got to take each one of them one at a time.
Good to hear from Mitchie Poo, and looked like a lot of fun there at the opening day tailgate. So let's get into our fantasy baseball picks. The pitchers for this week, brought to you by DraftKings. Who you got?
Okay, the way I see it, there are 5 teams in baseball that are significantly weaker offensively than the rest of the league. Those are the Phillies, the Braves, the Giants, the Rays, and the Twins.
Okay.
So I'm always going to be taking guys who are facing one of those teams. Anibal Sanchez goes on Wednesday against the Twins. He's got a cheaper option than Jacob deGrom and George Zimmerman. Then you got Ian Kennedy on Thursday. He's cheaper than CC Sabathia. I don't know why CC could potentially be more expensive.
Interesting. My 2 guys are Henderson Alvarez from the Miami Marlins, and he's going up against the Tampa Bay Rays, one of the teams that you just mentioned. So keep an eye on him. He's kind of their de facto #1 starter. And also I've got Trevor Bauer going up against the Houston Astros. Houston strikes out a ton, 2 of the top 3 strikeout seasons over the last 2 years.
Wow. I mean, they're much improved, though.
They are improved, but they're going to strike out a ton. So let's get into our closing arguments. Corey, why don't you start us off?
The Atlanta Braves traded Craig Kimbrell on Sunday afternoon, and they didn't get very much in return. What they did was they traded Kimbrell to be able to free up the salary of B.J. Upton, who's owed a ton of money and has really been underproductive in Atlanta. And of course, the reaction on Twitter and on message boards everywhere was the Braves are doing what the Phillies should be doing. But no, because the Phillies don't have a Craig Kimbrell-like talent. They don't have an elite, they don't have the best closer in the game. And the Phillies' intent is not to free up money. The Phillies' intent is to bring in prospects. If the Phillies were interested in trading Cole Hamels just to get rid of Ryan Howard's salary, they probably could have already moved Hamels. But no, the intent is to bring big-time prospects into this organization. So you really can't compare the two.
And for my closing argument, I'm going to piggyback off of yours. And there is a silver lining here with the Phillies season. They might not be the worst team in the NL East. I know a lot of people have them picked for that, but in regards to the Craig Kimbrell trade and everything the Atlanta Braves have done this offseason, they've gotten rid of the Uptons, they've gotten rid of Aaron Harang, Irvin Santana, Jason Hayward goes to the St. Louis Cardinals. Knowing all of that, they have stripped it down completely, and really their biggest move was Nick Markakis. Evan Gattis is gone. The Braves have stripped it down. They might be the worst team in the NL East, so I think that's something to look forward to. And that, of course, is a little bit of a silver lining for the Phillies season. That's it for Phillies Nation, presented by BQ Basement Systems. Thank you to everyone involved here in this show, and of course, to my man Corey Seidman. I am Pat Gallen. We'll talk to you soon.